will be ended. Away with you!
Hey guys, Subtractum here with another build for you. I have spent the last week or so trying out different builds, looking for a viable league starter for Ultimatum. And, well, you know, patch could happen. You don't know what exactly is going to change on the patch notes tomorrow, but we can make some good guesses. We know that, you know, anything that is an outlier right now this league might get nerfed, and we know that Harvest is going to get nerfed, so we can plan around that. So I was trying a couple different builds, and a viewer on my stream about a week ago recommended I try out the Burning Arrow Golemancer build that, just by saying that already, my interest was piqued. I had never played Burning Arrow before, and I just, as you know from my previous video, I love the idea of the Elementalist Golemancer as kind of a shell for building around. And yeah, I think this build kind of flew under the radar this league, and I fell in love with it. It really ticks all of the boxes of what I'm looking for here. You know, first of all, it's a viable zero budget league starter. You can get up to yellow maps with like basically just your league starter gear, like what, you know, a couple simple rares, all that, you're good to go. And you have best in slot, very cheap uniques. Mechanically, it's very clean to play. You never need more than 2 buttons. You're just shooting your burning arrow and throwing out a wave of conviction that has curse on hit. Bow skills are just inherently a lot nicer to play, for me anyway, than a lot of the other options that are out there. You're gonna find a lot of people, whenever a league start happens, they're going to recommend things like Bladefall, Blade Blast. They're going to recommend a lot of Saboteur Miner stuff. And, you know, it's one of those things that everyone always recommends. And I try it multiple times. And I really just think it's weak. It's if you love the playstyle, go for it. But in my opinion, it's just, there's better options. And there's no reason to play it. If you love mines, go for it, but yeah, it's cool. You can kill a boss really, really quickly with, you know, 1 link or whatever, but I think it's like, why? Like, I would rather have something that's really nice and mechanical, that I get life on hit, I get some more regen, I get better defense. I just don't enjoy playing Saboteur, so that's that. Segueing into the next point, it's not a squishy build. You are inherently pretty damn tanky with Bastion of Elements and high-level Chaos and Stone Golems. You get all of the benefits of a bow build, you know, minus a little bit of the speed from like a Raider or a Deadeye, but you get so much from the Elementalist, just making you super, super tanky. It's a class and ascendancy that I'm comfortable with. I know Witch and specifically Elementalist very, very well. It's probably my favorite ascendancy in the game. And I really love that there's tons of tweaks and customization that you can do here. You can do an Asmodeus Chant variant instead of using a Blizzard Helm, and you can make just a lot. You can make your curses and everything happen automatically. It's a good, you know, it's a good like second step after your league starter once you get a little bit of money, and until you want to get into crafting your helmet. You can use Herald of Ash. You can use an Explodey chest. And then later on, if you really want to, you can go into Barracks Respite. There's a lot of variation for what you can do here. And then most importantly, what I was really looking for here is all gear is self-craftable using the 3.14 methods. We do not rely on 3.13 crafting. And as you'll see in a minute, like all of my gear was crafted 100% without 3.13 harvest strategies, mostly just fossil and essence crafting. Super, super easy. And then, you know, I'm planning ahead. Who knows what nerfs are going to happen in the next couple days, but I think this is very unlikely to be hit too hard by the nerfs. The only node that we care about entirely on Elementalist not getting nerfed is Shaper of Flames. It's okay if they nerf some of the Golemancer stuff. It is very, very strong, but we don't lean on it that hard. Like, all of our damage comes from Shaper of Flames, and a lot of our defense actually just comes from Bastion of Elements, and I don't think those 2 nodes are really going to get hit hard. So I'm pretty confident that this will look pretty good, and yeah, let's get into the build. All right, well, here she is, Miss Mama Bear Gentle Touch. It was just what was on the outside of a box that was in my house. I looked it up, and apparently it was for diapers. I did not purchase those. Yeah, so this is the build. I'm absolutely in love with it. Very similar idea that you may have seen at this point where we stack as many golems as possible. We have 9 by using the Primordial Chain and Animus Stone with 2 Primordial Eminences and grabbing Golem Commander. This gives us 9 golems. We then stack Primordial Bond twice in 2 large cluster jewels to make our golems give us as much as possible. And then on top of that, we are grabbing Legion of the Primordial and Elemancer, makes our golems even stronger. And Bastion of Elements gives us this gigantic, almost 4,000 damage elemental shield. And Shaper of Flames, which this is what really brings the whole build together. It makes all of our damage ignite, and the build becomes then very simple to scale because all damage ignites. We just scale our elemental damage flat across the board. Doesn't even matter if we use Anger, Wrath, or Hatred. We're just scaling elemental damage, take all the flat LE damage we can, and all of it will ignite. That's really just the core of the build. So I didn't create this build. I was linked to this build by a viewer on my stream, and if you saw my last video, it's very, very similar. I'm not surprised that a lot of people kind of independently came up with the same idea of just stacking golems as much as possible and building around it. And when I saw this, I knew it was something that I was already interested in. I'll link the guide below, and honestly, that guide is so thorough. Like this is just me kind of talking about this as a league starter. It's not really even gonna be a full guide. The guide on the forums was super well written. Show that person a lot of love. They did an incredible job on it. Honestly, there isn't even that much I need to go into here. If you want to just listen to me talk about it, why I'm doing it as a league starter, that's fine. But honestly, just like that guide is so thorough. The person even has some advice for how to craft some of the items. I am just going to talk about how I put this build together. So, the basic idea here, as I said earlier, is we have some large cluster jewels. We're stacking Blowback and Cooked Alive 4 times, if possible. I grabbed Exposure Therapy here just because I think it has nice quality of life. I hate dying to chaos damage. And yeah, this is just big damage boost right here. Everything else here is pretty self-explanatory. Transcendent Mine is best in slot damage, not necessary to have. We want to crit a little bit, so if you can get some extra crit here and there, it's nice. Elemental Overload is where a big chunk of damage comes from. And yeah, I just have some like dinky jewels for dexterity right now, and I'm killing Awakener 9 Cirrus, and I did the Feared, I did everything Maven, super easy. Honestly, my gear isn't even crazy right now. So yeah, transition, next phase. All right, let's talk about the gear. I honestly, this is the most important part. Like this is all very simple, self-explanatory. The guy does a great job of talking about it. I'm going to talk about how I geared this character and why I think it's so good as a league starter. So, first of all, Zoph's Nurture. Having a best in slot. This is by far best in slot weapon. Best case, we get a crazy double corrupt with more flat damage or additional arrow. Not a big deal. The reason it works is because it gives us a 7 link with Ignite Proliferation. This means we shoot once, especially combined with Barracks Respite. It will destroy the entire screen and maybe even the next screen. And it just gives us so much flat damage. It does Fizz to Fire. It does get 50% Fizz to Fire damage conversion. Honestly, this bow might even just be a little too good. It's pretty crazy, and especially with how common doing Breachstones is, there's like a 0% chance that this bow will ever cost a ton of money. So we're just good to go here. The belt, so let's put in the actual cheap belt. This is just like a 1 chaos belt, perfectly rolled, probably get it for 10 chaos. It's just really nice. It gives us 42% increased damage, and it even gives us a little bit of leech if we can get some chill on the monster too, which is pretty awesome. Really good stats across the board right there. For rings, the main options are going to be, so also for a league start, you can use a Chinsol or just any bow that you want, and that'll get you going until you can buy a Zoph's Nurture or farm a Zoph's Nurture. Very easy to farm, solo self-found as well. Primordial Chain is our best in slot. We can use a rare amulet early on. But this is no big deal. This becomes very cheap very quickly. It'll drop down to, it'll be like 1 Exalt early, maybe drop down to 20 chaos on the second week. It's no big deal. You can farm up for it very, very quickly. Rings, Barracks Respite is probably just our awesome. This is our best in slot clear ring, and because what it does is it'll leave a pool of an ignite when we kill the enemy, and that will just chain. And so if you saw in the showcase earlier on, I would shoot the monster, shoot one pack, and you would see the ignite just proliferate, and you would see these little red pools, red or green if I had the Cinder Swallow going. You see these little pools on the ground, and it'll just proliferate and kill like 2 screens worth of monsters. For single target damage, or if you're using something like Herald of Ash with Explodey Chest, you can use Replica Emberwake, and this will just make you do 50% more damage. While it seems like the 90% reduced ignite duration would be bad, but we have so much increased duration, we're still positive off the base, even when we have this item equipped, so it's no big deal. After that, I crafted this ring very, very easily. It's, I didn't do anything crazy. I spammed for essences just to do any flat damage, and this is the key with this build, why it's so nice for crafting, is because of Shaper of Flames, we do not care what element of damage we're scaling. Fire is a little bit better because we tend to scale fire in a few places. We have like bonus fire damage in a couple places, but it's not a big deal. We'll take any flat damage we can get. So I just found essences with flat cold damage on it. I spammed it until I had the T1 life with the essence damage, and I got really lucky with my Hunter Slam, and I hit the Ellie weakness on hit. No big deal if you miss the Hunter Slam. You can just re-essence spam it again, or even chaos spam it, or whatever, or fossil spam it, your 3.14 crafting method of choice, closing your eyes and hitting whatever you want. But eventually you want to get either Ellie weakness or despair on hit. We'll even take tier 2. Really, really easy to craft, no big deal. You can even do 2 of these rings. You can make an Ellie weakness and a despair on hit early on, and then later on you can grab one of these guys. So for these gloves, absolutely not necessary, but what I did is I just searched for gloves that had either the fire damage, the cold damage, or the lightning damage, and you can use a harvest craft, even in 3.14, to switch the resistance type and get it to fire damage against burning enemies with on the temple mod. And then I just did the Hunter Slam. I got really lucky with fire damage over time multiplier. It would suck if I didn't hit it, but it's not the worst thing. You would want a POB if you wanted to keep that or roll other stuff later. So crazy gloves, I got lucky crafting them, but these are not a big deal. And then my boots are just, they're Tailwind Elusive boots. They do almost nothing for this build. We don't really crit. These are just leftover boots. These are actually not what we want. We want faster ignite boots. So these are actually just not for this build at all. I just had them and I wore them. These are actually not good for the build. This quiver, like if you look at this quiver, it's no big deal. This was just hitting it with fossils. Yeah, I have tier 6 Ellie damage with attack. This quiver is not good. I spent like 40 chaos hitting it with fossils, and I crafted this. I got additional arrow and some extra damage. So this quiver is just fine. This helmet is nothing. I just bought a Blizzard Crown that had the debuff effect from Burning Arrow. It was like 1 or 2 exalts. Super, super easy. Unless a Burning Arrow build becomes meta, this will continue to be cheap. And ideally, you want to get the ignite damage from the elevated Redeemer mod, but we don't. It's not necessary. I'm already killing Awakener 9 Cirrus in the Feared with low effort with this gear. Like in my chest armor. My chest armor, I chaos spammed for this. This was just chaos spam. There's nothing here. So I'm just wearing nothing, and I can kill all the bosses in the game with 0 effort. So yeah, that's the gear. Going over the flasks really, really quickly. There's really not much to talk about here. I'm using Id Promise, kind of self-explanatory. Taste of Hate, kind of self-explanatory as well. Just that this is the most we can get Fizz as extra here. So it's just, this is kind of the best in slot for damage for us. We need, mana is an issue right now. When I build this next league, I will be thinking about different ways I can play with mana. Maybe do the minus non-channeling mana on a ring. Maybe find different ways to get minus mana cost on the tree. I don't love the mana situation right now. It does get a little spicy if we can't kill a boss quickly enough, but I haven't run into a boss that doesn't die. And then Cinder Swallow is very obviously very good for an Ignite build, and then a really good Quicksilver. I guess just quickly to go over the gems that we use. Unbound Ailments, so we spread our ignites. Ideally, Vol Burning Arrow. The Vol Burning Arrow has a higher ignite multiplier, so we just do more damage. You want to use that on your bosses. Awakened Ellie damage with attacks. Eventually, Awakened Deadly Ailments. Awakened GMP is fun for clearing. And then I just put in a Swift Affliction after that. And then Awakened Burning Damage. In our helmet, I'm using a Awakened Hex Touch with Combustion, Wave of Conviction, and Despair. This means we don't even need +1 curse on our chest. Obviously, Awakened Hex Touch is a bit pricey, so we can easily just make an additional curse chest early on, and then later on, if we do get Awakened Hex Touch, we can swap that up. We can even go triple curse later on by doing Flammability, Ellie Weakness, and Despair. In my boots, I'm just using Flame Dash, Second Wind, Immortal Call, cast 1 damage taken. Some people like Steel Skin. I'm a Immortal Call type of guy. That's just, you know, your flavor that you like. For our auras, we use Anomalous Malevolence with Enlighten and Anger, and then we also use Blood Rage, so we can attack quicker, get some additional leech, and generate frenzy charges for more damage. And then this is the coolest thing about this build that why I think is pretty rad, and actually why I'm using this chest that has +1 to socketed support gems, is I just landed on that. It's got whatever T3, T4 life, and it's good enough. Is we're bumping up our Empower, and if I had 21 golems, this would be even better. All my golems are level 24, so I'm getting crazy value out of. I have 50%. I know this is not accurate. The way that physical damage reduction is based on, you know, it scales based on the size of the hit, whatever. Don't be pedantic. This is still, this is awesome, right? Like, and we can get even more fizzes taken as different elements and just become, like, for a bow build that does really, really good single target, you know, compare this to an Ellie hit Raider or a Tornado Shot Deadeye or whatever. Like, the quality of life that we get with regenerating 1,043 life a second, you know, 50% elemental or physical damage reduction, and if we really wanted to, we could put in a Roomies or something, and then having a gigantic elemental damage shield. The quality of life that you get, like, you just don't see bow builds that feel like this. I can run through a T16 100% Delirious map without my Headhunter, and it'll be a little bit challenging, but I can do, you know, I have a clip of triple Beyond, not wearing any of my expensive gear, and I can do it. Like, you know, and then when you put the Headhunter on, it's super easy. You just scale with it. Yeah, so yeah, this is a this is a video of me just rambling about why this is, in my opinion, like, unless something crazy gets nerfed, like, they would have to significantly nerf the Golem nodes, which they usually don't nerf something right after they buff it. Like, they just buffed it this league, so we might see a little nerf, but I don't think we're going to see a huge nerf here. And unless Shaper of Flames gets dramatically reworded, it will still work with the build. We can self-craft all this stuff. I think this is just going to be a crazy good build for Ultimatum. My gear is not even optimized. It's 1 week of casually putting the build together, and I just destroyed all content in the game easily. So yeah, this is my league starter. Choose whatever you like, of course. I think the most important thing with the league starter is make sure you can do the content you want to do, but also it has to be fun. And it's really easy to get swayed by content creators that go out there just like, oh, this is the best. And I'm not pointing to anyone specifically, you know, like they have to put out the content to, like, say that their build is very good. But, like, I try to, like, you know, I try to watch it with, like, the sound off, and I watch the actual mechanics of that build working and ignore what they're saying and just, like, look at what's actually happening on the screen. And it's not that good. Like, a lot of these videos that they're putting out are just not that good. And it's crazy. Don't be swayed. Don't be swayed by these videos that people are putting out. You know, take this build that I'm showing here. Try it. Try this build. You know, if you have an Elementalist that you're sitting there, sitting in Standard League tomorrow, just respec it into this build. You know, put 10 Exalts into it and just see if it feels good. I guarantee it will. At least for me, it feels incredibly good for how cheap it is. But, you know, try it out. Try out your League starter, assuming you're not doing like Exsanguinate or Reap or something. Try out your League starter and just see if that fits the bill for you. And if it does, then yeah, give me a like and, you know, put a comment down there. Let me know that you like the build, and you know, join me on the stream, and we can talk about how awesome it is. Anyway, yeah, have a good ultimatum, and I'll see you guys later.